Welcome to the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. Discover less and enjoy our holistic resources. Join us weekly on Wednesdays for our live talk show discussing the topics central to maintaining the holistic lifestyle you want. Each week we bring on leaders, product providers, and educators to enlighten and empower your natural journey in wellness. Let us begin. Welcome to another fabulous Wellness Wednesday, broadcasting to you live on Interlight Radio, known as the Healing Frequency. This is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We're here each and every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. Our website is createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. There you'll find our hosts, co-hosts, and we have our past shows. If you're looking for some health products or any good information, we have it there for you. Our Facebook page is Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. Once again, Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. And we are live. The call-in number is 310-928-7733. Once again, 310-928-7733. So if you have any questions, you want to call in, speak with the guests, have a question for the co-host, just give us a jingle. Ring-a-jing-jing. Hey, how we doing out there, Dr. Frank?
We are doing awesome today. It has been a really fun and interesting day, and I want to thank Rocky Mountain Analytical Labs and Life Labs here in Canada for allowing me the opportunity to talk to some of my peers, naturopathic doctors and medical doctors all over Canada, about some of their testing options, which has been fantastic.
Well, we got to bring them on so we can find out more about it.
That we do.
Yeah, you got me in that ready, okay mode.
Well,
I'm ready to do it.
Something really fascinating that has been happening is a number of my patients who I've been seeing after they've had the vaccine, they've been showing the same pattern, which has been really interesting, where their red blood cell count will drop and it'll be a little bit low, but their iron and ferritin levels will be normal. So have one of those patients today as well, which is really fascinating to see on the other end, what's happening with respect to some people who are getting the vaccine.
Well, I tell you, I'm still scared. Okay, so
Right. I mean, it's fascinating. What does it mean in the long run? This is the whole dilemma.
Yeah, it's the race right now. And, all the horses are out the gate, and I'm telling you, everyone's getting spanked and whipped, and it's coming down the first curve here. I tell you,
well,
22 we're on that second curve.
It's pretty perfect that you're on the idea of horses and nature and farming and stuff, because today's guest is going to really be awesome for helping us understand some more of that. Going to be cool.
All right. So, Dr. Brooke, how you doing since you're on the mic?
I'm doing great. Yeah. We have some really amazing people in our life. And one of them is a young lady that I kind of is like a daughter to us now. She stayed with us as an intern years ago, and she just had her first baby. So we went out to Montana to visit them. And geez, it's so cool to see the transitions of life. Like she was a kid when we got to know her, just a teenager. And now she's a mom. I mean, and he's gorgeous. And oh my gosh, life is so cool.
I tell you, if you ever really want to get good relaxation, Montana's really a beautiful place.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The safaris there. I mean, I spent a lot of time when I was going to Utah a lot dealing with noni juice. I went to Montana quite a bit, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a great place to relax. So
it's a different feeling there. Yeah. I even woke up early, which I'm not an early person. And I woke up early to go for walks, for crying out loud. Like, it's great out there.
It reminds me of one of those Hallmark movies, those lovey-dovey Hallmark movies.
Right?
kind of place you hang out with and everyone's just A-okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
Chill. Yep. Loved it.
Yeah. All right. So, Dr. Rab, how are you?
Yes. I'm doing fine. And it's just that a lot of what's going on right now is it's kind of saddens my heart, because a lot of people are being taken, and we've got people now that are pushing things and They want to vaccinate more children, but it all kinds. And there are some really, really, really top-notch doctors that are coming to try to tell the truth, and they get censored. They can't even get on the regular media. They have to go, sideways somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is totally ridiculous. And the war that's going on with Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates and all of that. I mean, this is just, it's so crazy. And how all this can just happen. So I guess, it's
I'm nervous about that 3-year-old to 12-year-old gap they're getting ready to all nice and open up.
Yeah, because this is not it's not really a vaccine. It's something else, and it hasn't. And they tell you, oh, it's safe. It's been tested by who, when? They didn't test nothing. This stuff, this thing hit the market in no time, and now they're just rolling it out and want to threaten people that don't want to take it. And well, threaten me all you want to, because you're not sticking nothing in me. I'm not playing that game.
I really thought your election, you have that recall of the governor. I think when you talk to people, we're all kind of done with all the stuff that's going on and being forced to do things and whatnot. But I was surprised to see that, I guess, he was voted back in. I mean, maybe we're not.
Well, the two choices were, my goodness.
Yeah.
You got 2 of the 3 Stooges.
Right.
I
don't know. One's not working. I would have tried the other, I guess. I mean,
all the way from Wisconsin.
All the way. I don't know.
Dr. Brooke is smooth.
Well, we're wanting change, but we're not willing to do the things that need to be done to make a change. It's true to life. I think this is actually one of the reasons I'm inviting Cathy over to talk today, because I mean. Well, here, I'll wait for a second. You go ahead, Jonathan, and we'll introduce her, and I can get into some of this.
Oh, I think we're going to see a new Dr. Brooke today. I am scared.
She's on fire.
I'm scared.
No.
Dr. Brad, back down the hatches. Get out the colloidal silver. This is on, baby.
Oh, my goodness. There's been some days.
All right, let's get right into it. Listen, if you're just tuning in, this is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We're here each and every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon here. And listen, we try to bring you great guests, good information, and we just try to put it out there, No one's wrong. You have all the information, things that you experienced. We offer you to share that. We don't censor it. So we're going to take our break and come back with our featured guest, because apparently there's a lot to be said today. We're going to get right into it. We'll be right back.
Meet me in the marvelous St. Martin for an evolution into self-love and soulful living. Hi, I'm Bernadette Davies, founder of Agape Holistic Retreat in St. Martin and around the globe. We're an all-inclusive retreat in St. Martin and private retreats and around the globe. It's magical. www.agapeholisticretreatsxm.com. Attunement, enhancement, alignment. www.agapeholisticretreatsxm.com. Meet you in St. Martin.
My name is Michelle. I am the beauty boss of A More Beautiful You with Jafra Cosmetics. What is so wonderful about Jafra is that it is an essential business and fits into everyday needs for everyone in your family. Jafra offers over 500 products within 4 departments, and they are, department number 1 is our skincare department with our 5 exclusive Royal Jelly skincare lines powered by our Royal Jelly RJX technology. Number 2 is our on-trend gorgeous color and makeup line, a must-see. Number 3 is our fragrance from the world's top perfumers. And department number 4 is our body care for the entire family. Just added is our daily advanced hand sanitizers in 2 sizes. I invite you to visit my website to see more of A More Beautiful You with Jafra. My website is www.amorebeautiful-u.com. That is www.amorebeautiful-u.com. Thank you, and stay safe and well.
Welcome to the hemp industry, including new product CBD-based discoveries is here. It is a smart, organic personal care option today. Industrial hemp is one of the fastest growing segments of the wellness industry and is quickly emerging as a lucrative business opportunity for many. This emerging industry strives to create products that are designed to revolutionize the way people care for themselves. These products are well formulated to produce the finest quality of dietary supplements on the market, derived from industrial hemp containing proprietary CBD compounds that help support the body's endocannabinoid system. For more information regarding hemp, nano water soluble CBD, CBD pet care, CBD choices for your complete body, and receive your home delivery, visit the Lifestyle Store at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, the Lifestyle Store. It's at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Health is the new wealth.
That's right. Health is the new wealth. And we are back. This is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We are live. 310-928-7733. Dr. Brooke, introduce our guests. Tell us who we have and what we are talking about today, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that offer. Today we're going to welcome Cathy Johnson to the show. So hi, Cathy.
Welcome, Cathy.
Hi, Brooke. Hi. Welcome everybody back there too.
Well, and
Welcome.
There's so many great people that we get to meet along the way in the journey of life. And Cathy has written many different columns. So she has been in numerous magazines and newspapers. She had her own, Country with Chatter with Cathy. What would you say that's a column, Cathy?
Country Chatter by Katie. Yes, that was a weekly column in several newspapers. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I mean, and so she, Cathy's just written this book, If I Could Hit Rewind in Life. And of course, because I know her personally, I wanted to pick up the book as soon as she was offering it. But these are stories about farm life and, just the things that most of us don't even know exist because we're so disconnected. Remember when we were talking a couple of months ago about how disconnected we are with our food? We don't know where that side of beef comes from. Some people don't even know that comes from a cow. So in this book, she talks about how her mom never missed a milking of the cows except for when she broke her leg. Oh, and I guess she said when she was in birth, when she was birthing children.
Right.
But, there's just so many stories. And I was hoping that you would come on the show and just kind of remind us what farming life is like and tell us some of the stories that are endeared to you the most. I just thought it would be fun to get to know you in this different way. So
basically, what happens after the rooster crows?
Right.
Our roosters would crow all day long. It wasn't just a morning thing. They would crow in the evening. They had no clue what time it was. They just crowed. And we also had peacocks who would squawk. And when they would squawk, it sounded like a child hollering for help. And our farm was close to a village. Most of it was even in the village limits. And there was one time when one of the peacocks was squawking, and it goes like, help, help. Well, this guy, an older resident, he thought that one of the Johnson kids was hollering for help. So he called the law enforcement and had them come over to the Johnson farm because they just knew that one of our kids was hurt. So, there was excitement on the farm. And in my book, I picked out 52 stories that had originated from the Hordes Dairyman magazine that I used to write for back in the late 70s and throughout the 80s. And after my late husband was killed, excuse me, in an accident, I thought I need to take all of these stories and put them into a book form. In honor or memory of him. Plus, there's so many great stories that I wanted to share with everybody. Yes, they had read these when the Hordes Dairyman magazine came out, but that was like 40 years ago, between 30 and 40 years ago. And now I wanted to let people know what the life was like back in the late 70s, 80s. I stopped writing when we moved off the farm, which was in the late 90s. but when people are looking at my book, buying my book, reading my book, they can reminisce of what they used to do. Quite a few of the people that have purchased my book said, oh, yes, I remember those days, or they grew up on a farm, or they spent summers at a relative's farm, type of thing. So in my writings, I told it how it was. You know, if I was the towee and my husband was the tower, by that I mean he was the tower. If a tractor didn't start, he was on the front of on the tractor in the front, and then I'm on the back one, and then there's like a 20-foot chain connecting the two. And I had to have the knowledge and the skill to know when to pop that clutch and get that tractor started. So, yeah, you don't learn these things in college. You just learn these by living on a farm. Yes. I mean, I could go on and on. Probably one of my favorite stories in this book is that every farm needs a truck, which, you know, in bad weather, you got to have a truck. Your car's not going to make it. And I also talked about back when my late husband and I were dating, his older brother had the family car to go to prom, but Jerry and I, we were going to prom, so we spent a Saturday afternoon cleaning up this old 1955 Ford truck, and we went to the prom in the truck. And then he wanted me to sit close to him so I could. His excuse was, "Well, here, I need you to help me shift." It's like it took me years before I figured that out. That hey, you can shift this yourself. You just want me to snuggle up to you, and it worked. I fell for it.
You know, when we were talking about everything before, you said you really wanted everybody to know what a happy life you guys had. And, you know, when I was going through the book, it just sounds like it was just like you just kept things simple. He was your high school sweetheart, correct?
Yes. Oh, my gosh, yes. We grew up together. We competed against each other in 4-H. We both showed sheep at the county fair, and I ended up having the better ram, which is the buck, the male sheep. And then when we got married, we combined our flocks of sheep together, but I was the one that kept the ram because mine was more valuable. So you got to consider these things when you're going to marry somebody. Okay, what do they have that you really want? And in our case, it was my ram. You know, it was the top registered sheep.
Well, this is one of the, I knew having a conversation, like we didn't expect to hear marriage advice, but you know, this is the thing. When we talk to some people who have had a life and lots of experience, I mean, you've got great grandchildren now. And
yes, I have 3. Yes, I do.
3.
Yes.
I mean, and so you've got some wisdom that I was just hoping to tap into today because, you know, I think relationships can be really hard, but there's a moral to your story, which is keep it simple. And some of the stories you're going to share today with us, I'm sure are going to just be the right ones to kind of remind us, you know, it's you're not lying. Find something that in somebody that is valuable to you. You know, I
oh my gosh. Yes.
We both loved chiropractic. Yes. I figured if nothing else, we're going to raise our kids similar. And, you know, having things in common. So what other kind of things did you guys have in common? What was kind of like a fun thing?
We loved to bike ride the backcountry roads. And then he would come out. My parents were very simple. They milked by hand. My dad had horses that he farmed with. And Jerry, when I would help him, oh my gosh, they had tractors. You know, so that was really cool. And then with milking, they had milking machines, and it's like, wow, this is just so cool. And that kind of helped kept us dating too, of course. And then we knew that we were really meant for each other. I always wanted to be by his side. And his mom was a school teacher, so she was gone a lot. In later years, when the kids were still all at home, you know, his siblings, she taught down in the Milwaukee area, so she would leave early Monday morning and not come home until Friday evening. And he hated that. You know, he just hated that because he had 2 younger siblings. And he always said, if we get married or when, I really don't want you to work away from home, even though at that time we had friends who farmed and the wife worked off of the farm, and then they still had to spend money for hired help. And I did not want that. I saw how he was being raised, and in my childhood, my mom and dad were right there. Yet they were not really the wealthiest, but my mom worked side by side with my dad. She milked cows, and helped to put the harnesses on the horses. And you didn't even know that you were poor, and we probably were, but my dad fixed everything. He had this awesome tool shed that he fixed things. And then in Jerry and I's marriage, Jerry would fix things. We had a little garage area that if something broke, he didn't have a master's degree. He didn't even have a college degree, but he had the knowledge of how to fix things because farmers had to have the knowledge to know how to fix things. You just didn't call a serviceman like they probably do today. Right. So we could probably finish each other's sentences, I think, when we were going together. I'll have to tell you a quick story. I don't have this in my book, which I was probably a little embarrassed. Here I am telling this nationwide. But, well, when we were first married, I wasn't one of those that would just flaunt this little flimsy nightgown or anything like that. I wore a T-shirt to bed. It was one of his T-shirts. It was a special T-shirt. Well, one night, okay, I'm getting ready for bed. It's like, okay, where is my nightgown T-shirt? Well, he didn't know where it was. I didn't know where it was. I looked all over. Well, okay, probably several weeks later when I'm down in the freezer digging out some frozen food, oh, my God, there is my nightgown T-shirt. He actually hid that from me because he thought that was so unfeminine, unsexy to wear this old T-shirt. It's like, I can't believe he did that. But, yeah, it's things like that that yes, and we had more love than we had money, and in fact, one very heartwarming thing was when Casey, our child number 5, was born. Because we had 5 awesome kids, and when I came home I was in the hospital for about a week because I had varicose veins pretty bad, and I knew when I would get home, it's like there would be no rest or anything. So when I got home with this tiny new baby and 4 other kids and back on the farm, and we were actually snuggled into bed that first night, Jerry turned to me and thanked me for being the mom of his kids. And he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give you a big 12. And I can still hear him telling me that. And, he could have gotten me the most expensive jewelry, took me around the world or whatever, but that is nothing compared to what he told me that, a big 12. Okay. So back here on my stories, when you're farming and working, or not even farming, if you have a business or whatever, with your loved one or a co-partner or whatever, there's a lot of give and take, and you've got to see the plus in all of these, in the relationships, in living together or whatever. If you don't see the plus, you just will throw in the towel and move on. And I've always said to people, too, you got to see the glass as half full. Yes, if you look at a glass of water, is it half full or half empty? But to me, half full is it's a plus. It's a plus in life, and that's what you've got to see, that, oh, my God, we got this heifer calf born out of this cow, and it lived. That type of thing. You could have gotten, where the cow died and that type of thing. You can't focus on the negative things in life, because if you do, you just will have died too. So you got to see the glass as half full.
I'm so curious to hear, listening to you tell some of the wonderful stories, and the story about how your husband loved you so much he hid your nightshirt.
Right, I know.
I want to hear the other side of that. So what is the thing that you did out of love that was kind of like a little tricky, a little devious, to get him to do something that you would like him to do that he was maybe not so happy to do?
Well, we were a team. We dated in high school. Our parents' farms were like 5 miles apart, and then we basically grew up together too. And I had seen with other people where they didn't get along. And in order to really get along, there's a lot of give and take. You know, he loved ice cream, so I always made sure that we had ice cream. And I loved to make sure I had a beautiful lawn and lots of flowers on the farm. And he was so good at mowing the lawn or pulling the weeds out. You know, we were a team. And when I used to travel and be a public speaker, which I loved doing back then, I talked about Jerry and I's life as a team of horses. I wasn't a wild filly being 3 or 4 steps ahead of him, and I wasn't an old nag being 3 or 4 steps behind him. When you're a team, you've got to be side by side, and then your load just pulls along so smooth. But, you know, picture this. If you're a bitchy person or an old nag or whatever, your team load is off balance, and things will not work smooth. So there was a lot of give and take. I love to milk cows, and I knew the cows like they were my own kids or like they were my family, and he did a lot of the field work. He was also awesome in the house. There were times if I'm out milking and he was done with field work, he would go and have supper ready. Okay, that probably didn't go so good with other farm wives because their guys never cooked or anything. But with Jerry, with his mom being gone teaching, you know, away from home, they had to learn how to cook and clean and that. Or when she'd come home, they, you know, all hell would break loose. So we were a team. I always pictured us as a team of horses side by side. And that's how people today in marriages, relationships, significant others or whatever, you have to be that way. You got to give and take. Otherwise, your load is so off balance, it's not going to work. Yeah, there's times you go biting your tongue and you got blood coming out of your mouth, but you know you got to keep your mouth shut because once those words fly out, there's no way you can reel that back in. And hurt, I've always said too, words hurt more than if you fell down a flight of steps or if you cut your finger, because a cut finger, bandages and antiseptics will heal that up. But when your heart is hurt or broken, that doesn't heal right away.
It has memory. It has memory.
Yep. You know, sometimes people will ask Dan and I how we've managed. So we've been married for 20 years and together for more than that. And, you know, it comes down to one thing for us. I don't know why, but God led us to think this. When we were first together, we were like, hey, what do we really want in the end of the game? And I was like, I want to be old, rocking on my rocking chair with you. And so we decided we would. Yeah, right? It's a visual. But every time I want to hate him, I think, is what I'm going to say going to get me on that rocking chair when we're old together? Like, we never said the D word. We don't even say the D, like it's the D word. We just don't talk about it because it's not an option. We want to end up in our rocking chairs. And I mean, it sounds like you got a great guy too. They're not hurting us. They're not, you know, they're trying. And there's so many things of what you just said. Like even the fact that he learned all this stuff because his mother wasn't around. And I know this mommy guilt is so big in so many of us. But, you know, he learned how to cook and clean and take care of himself, and it made him this outstanding husband and father. So,
there was times I would come into the house and he would have even vacuumed as the dishes were done. You know, that's before your dishwasher time and all of that. But then I had a spotless milk house. When we'd have milk inspectors come by, which we were on grade A, and that meant you had to be tip-top shape. You know, you couldn't have a mess in the milk house at all. And that was my job. I even put curtains in the milk house, and that was my baby, having the barn and the milk house nice and clean. In fact, one year, I think that's in my book too, that, you know, I had friends that they would get jewelry and trips and all these things for Christmas. All right, one year he gave me this barn scraper. But by a barn scraper, that's something, you know, with this long handle, and it's got a blade probably 3 foot wide. Okay. And it's like, you got to be kidding, a barn scraper? It's Christmas. You know, what about the jewelry in that? And, well, he knows I didn't wear that much jewelry, but his theory was that you are so fussy about having that barn so clean in that driveway of the barn. By driveway, I'm talking about that cement space between the 2 rows of cows. And I would always have that that had to be scraped. I had an old scraper, but every time I would be pushing that down to clean the driveway, the part of the blade would curl up and then it would poke into my stomach, and I was always cussing that darn thing. So he bought me a new barn scraper, and he thought I'd really be happy to keep my barn clean, well, our barn. And, you know, once I got over the shock of I didn't get any fancy jewelry, which we couldn't afford anyway, and I didn't need any more bowls or Tupperware, but I did need that new barn scraper. And he was so thoughtful. He was, in fact, when our first baby was, then I'll have to shut up here. But when our first baby was born, in fact, she's 51 years old now. And when she was born, well, I had toxemia, so I was in the hospital 2 weeks before she was even born, and I only carried her 7 months. But that's back when you had roommates. You know, now you have your private room and all of that. But I had a roommate, and anyway, she was an unwed mother, and she got a dozen yellow roses from her boyfriend. I thought, oh my God, I've never gotten roses in my whole life. And what does he bring me? This little, what I got after Valerie was born, and it looked like she was actually going to make it. She was in intensive care for quite a while. But anyway, he gets me this little cup with all these cute little flowers and this little tag in it that says, "Hope you are feeling better." And I thought, what the heck? My roommate got a dozen roses. I get this coffee cup.
But it was useful. Oh, did we lose her?
Oh,
I think she's there.
like we did.
Dr. Rab, do you have any farm stories you'd like to share?
Yeah, I did a lot of work on the farm, a hell of a lot. So, no, it was great. It was, my mother and father were very warm and friendly people. As long as you did what you were supposed to do, there was no,
Sparing of the rod.
Yes, right. But it was similar to what the young lady is talking about, because we did a lot of stuff. But I left home at the age of 17. I joined the Navy, but before that, I went to college one year, and I was very young, and didn't study hard when I got there. Was an A student.
Good. You're back.
Good.
Oh, yeah, I just called you back, but I heard this gentleman talking, and I thought, oh my gosh, do I have the wrong station?
Oh no, he's sharing a story, a farm story with us. Go ahead, Dr. Rapp.
Yeah. So anyway, it was when I got out of high school at the age of I was 15 actually, and when I went to college the one year, I was 16 doing that, and as soon as I turned 17, because my college days, I got caught up with older guys and all that kind of thing, what that can lead to, and so I decided to go to the recruiting office, and I went to one place and they were closed, and then a friend and I were together and we looked at the other one and they were open. So the Navy was open, so I ended up joining the Navy.
Oh, wow.
And spent 4 years in the Navy and then got out and went back to school and I got married. There's a lot of things happened after that, but on the farm, we had a farm, and it was no great big truck farm like my father had a truck that he would drive a lot of things around in, and we even had a couple one wagon that there were a couple of mules would move, and this was in the 40s, because I was born in 42, and but it was a family thing, and my mother was younger than my father because she was 26 when she married him, and he was like 46. Oh, and yeah, he was a handsome guy, and so he cornered her, and anyway, they had a great life. It was a great life. He passed away at the age of 95, and she passed away 20 years later at the age of 90.
Wow!
So, oh my gosh!
Yeah, and together they had 9 children, and I was the second one of that group, and then the third one was a twin, but the girl was strangled with the cord because she came first out. And that's the only time my mother went to a hospital to deliver her baby. All the rest of them having at home. And so we had a great life. We had to work. It was no play farm. It was real.
Like, all right, you got to work.
We had to work. But I was, when I joined the Navy at 17, I was kind of glad to get away because it was a different life, and I went through that for 4 years, and then I got out and went back to school and got married, and the rest is history. 'Cause I've married. Well, my first wife passed away, and then the next one, I almost passed her away because she did something that should have never happened. And I didn't want to talk about that one but when someone commits adultery on you, that ain't nice. That's,
That would be hard.
And so, yeah. And plus, same thing was like my dad. He was older than my mother, and I was 20 years older than this lady. And she had birthed the child and came in one night with the baby and had stayed out all night and as soon as she walked through the door of the house, crying. I said, crying about what? I didn't do nothing. I didn't want to hear it. I had to walk out of that house before I could hurt somebody.
Wow.
And so, it wasn't the most beautiful of marriages at that point because I had to get her out of my space, my house, and whatever, and live my own life, and I've been single ever since.
Well, your childhood sounds so much like mine. I was born in 1949, and then with my parents, my dad was 14 years older than my mom. In fact, when I was born, he was 41 years old, and I thought, what does that old man even know about being a parent? But in the long run, because he was so old-fashioned, and his idea of dressing up was a new pair of bib overalls and a flannel shirt. And then, but years later, when my husband and I were dating, and then when we got married, it's just like, my dad got smart all of a sudden, but I never saw him sneak off to college or get more education, but he just seemed wiser and smarter. So this old man, in my mind, actually was smart. The only gripe I have about him, though, was when Jerry and I got married. My dad, I insisted that he wear a tuxedo at our wedding. Oh my gosh, he moaned and groaned, and he didn't like the idea of spending money on this fancy suit, and then he had to give it back to the people. He had to return it, and he thought that was such a ripoff. But in the long run, my dad was really the smartest man ever created. In fact, I had written a story about him, and that was published in the Farm Journal magazine that went worldwide, how my dad became smart, and I didn't even see him sneak off to college. But your life sounds so much like my childhood, too, the big difference between the mom and the dad and being together, not having a dime to your name, and you said you worked as a child, but you probably never saw that as work, right? That you weren't treated as a working person, or did you just notice that this is your job? I mean, this is your responsibility growing up. Is that how you saw yourself, I hope?
Yeah, because I had to eat,
Right.
And we had gardens. I mean, we always had a lot of everything as far as food and whatever. It wasn't rich with money necessarily, but we had our own home, and I mean everything. I didn't know anything different at that point. And then you start going to college. When I went to college, I started meeting these rich kids that come into college and whatever, and I had to make sure I didn't have a hole in the bottom of my shoe and all that kind of thing. But,
your childhood sounds so much like mine too.
I walk 3 miles to get to school every day.
Well, honestly, it builds a ton of character, and I see, really a lot of differences in terms of children who had maybe a little bit more of a tough love family growing up, or had more responsibility growing up, versus children who have everything handed to them. They just don't have the same resilience in life. So I think it's a blessing. And I was just looking at this statistic, and I'm going to love to hear your response to this, but there was a study in 2017 that quoted, like, quite literally, 7% of Americans believe chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That's 16.4 million people in the U.S. believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows in 2017.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's very interesting.
We all went through that.
All right, so listen, we're going to take our commercial break. We're going to be coming back. We're having a great conversation about growing up farm life. Listen, if you're just tuning in, this is the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Detox Jenny here. Is your digestion poor, painful, or just plain stuck? If so, please consider doing a short 3 to 10 day juice cleanse with my company, Earthly Juices. You can visit us at bringmejuice.com. You will be surprised what a difference a short cleanse can make within your body and your overall well-being. Our organic farm-to-table juice cleanses are handcrafted to exclude your allergies and geared towards solving your health issues. Call 310-404-6804 and mention this show and receive a free quart of juice with your first order. You can also find us at www.bringmejuice.com. Or you could write us your detox questions at earthlyjuices@gmail.com. We can't wait to bring that juice to your doorstep.
I tell myself again and again, I'm happy about my favorite juice from gin. I tell myself again and again, well, Earthly Juices, they make the best juice cleanse.
Hi, this is Dr. Nathan Rabb Jr., host of The Natural Way, which you can hear live on InnerLightRadio.com every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On The Natural Way, you will learn about alternative strategies to common medical practices to overcome some of the most common physical and mental maladies in the world today. The program is a live call-in show, so you can engage me by calling 310-928-7733 with your health-related questions. For private consultations, please call my office. That's at 310-419-4372. You can also reach me on the web at Dr. Dr. Nathan, Nathan, Rabb, RABB.com. Be sure to tune in to The Natural Way every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, live on InnerLightRadio.com. The Healing Frequency. I'm Dr. Nathan Rabb. We see you on the air. Peace.
Historically, our ancestors lived 100% organic and natural, simply grazing off the green earth with fresh fruits and vegetables and blue oceans filled with seafood. Allowing your mind, body, and soul to be naturally healthy is how we were meant to live during this journey of our lives. We invite you to visit The Lifestyle Store. Once again, The Lifestyle Store, for all of your family's health and wellness needs. Simply click on The Lifestyle Store at www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, www.createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Keep this in mind. Health is the new wealth.
Boy, I tell you, trying to bring back that farm life right now. I think a lot of people are looking for that lifestyle.
Yep.
I've thought about building a city where the cars couldn't enter. You have to go in by wagon and horse.
Oh, wow. Well, Camilla,
Take
like
it
our
back.
old host, is doing something like that, isn't she? She's making a whole community of people working together with nature. No. Yeah. So what I was kind of happy to have the break when we lost you for a minute there, only because it made me go back through your book and find this page. It's page 41. And you were talking about how some people would say to you, like, I guess because you were writing articles and stuff and you were out sharing your farm life, somebody said, I guess many women wrote to you and said, you should do your own thing. And I just kind of wanted to check in with that a little bit, because as we're talking to you, I mean, I feel like that was your own thing, right? Like you were exactly where you wanted to be.
Absolutely. You know, when Jerry and I were dating, it's just like that. That's all I ever wanted was to be beside him for the rest of our lives. And I was very proud to take the milk check to the bank, never really getting any money in my own pocket. But you know, if I had a couple of dollars, maybe then I could actually go and maybe buy a little house plant or something, or go to the thrift store and maybe pick up something for myself. Yeah, I'm a thrift store person even to this day.
Yeah, me too.
But there again, that brings the point of seeing the glass as half full. My highlight was probably going into town or taking a calf to equity, which that was a highlight because we would get a check out of that. But it was also sad because it was a calf that, you know, a bull calf that we didn't need on the farm. And, you know, that was my job to take it to the market, and I really didn't like to do that. But different people would also buy some of our bull calves for veal. I would never eat veal. All right, there's probably people who love veal out there, and that's fine with them, but I could never, even to this day, I could never eat anything that I grew or raised, or that was my pets. Yeah. But yet you hear people saying, oh, those rabbits are great for fryers. It's like, no, I don't even want to hear about it. Don't even tell me that. But yeah, doing my own thing was being side by side with Jerry, maybe getting off the farm for a day, maybe missing milking, which was a very rare time, or maybe having a nice meal that actually turned out okay, that type of thing. Or finding the other sock that you swore it was long gone, little things like that. That doesn't take much to excite me. Or finding my T-shirt nightgown in the bottom of the freezer a couple months later. That was
well,
that was awesome.
I'm putting it all together. We've never really talked about, I've known you for more than 10 years, but we've never talked about all this stuff. And as you're talking, kind of thinking about expectations, like your expectation was always doable by you and your husband because you just expected you wanted to be together and you wanted to do things that worked towards the goal that you guys had. So like these ladies that were saying you should go find your own thing, it's almost like their expectation was, I want those diamonds and I want this thing and I don't want to work to do that. I know I put a funny voice on for that, but but I mean, maybe so many of us have just expectations that no other human can fulfill. And coming back to these basics, it would be just so much more harmonious for our relationships and our life. Like, I think that's what I'm kind of hearing from you. Like, what were your expectations? Yeah. You can think about that.
Of living forever with Jerry, but then again, when he was killed in 2007, that did not happen. So I ran into this mountain that I could not get around. But you learn to focus on the plus. Here again, the fact that yes, he was gone, but he's always living in my heart. Even though it's been over 14 years, he's all around me all the time, through my kids, through different things that I see, through my book. And that's with the title, If I Could Hit Rewind in Life. By reading all of my stories in my book, it's like, yes, I press the rewind button and I'm reliving the life that he and I had, and without having a dime to our name. And if we did, it went into the farm operation because that's where your money was. I saw that as a plus, being able to have a dime to put back into the farm, and working with him, whether he had cow manure all over him or whatever, or I did, because cows are kind of messy when you're milking. But you saw past that, and yeah, it'd probably been awesome maybe to get a dozen roses when our first child was born. But as I was saying, and then I think we got cut off, but he was so practical. He got me that barn scraper because I focused on having the awesome clean barn. So when people would come and visit, I wouldn't show them things in the house because that wasn't always the neatest place. I take them out to the barn and look at my barn, look at the curtains in the milk house and that type of thing, or my flower beds. And there's so many priceless. Well, to me, these are priceless things. You can't even put a dollar sign on the feeling of how your heart is smiling, because Jerry and I had this life together, and I have to still keep thinking about that, or else I'd be crying myself to sleep all the time. But my youngest son was in Iraq when Jerry was killed, and when Red Cross brought him home and we stayed up all night talking, he was telling me that Jerry saw our kids grow up. Jerry and I worked side by side on the farm. He was there to raise our kids. When our son was in service, he saw people coming home in body bags to children that weren't even born yet, or kids that would not know the dad. So here again is the plus side of losing your spouse. You have to focus on what you had and how it makes your heart smile on that, and not sit and look at photo albums all the time and think that you just will have died too. And so I have to think about that. Jerry is really reliving in my heart and through our kids. Our kids are awesome. They're just, they're adults, grandkids are awesome. And so you have to always see the best part. Even like with a rose, you look at a rose and that blossom or the thorns. Okay, you look at a rose and you say, oh my God, such ugly looking thorns here. It's poking my thumb. No, you go, oh my God, look at that blossom. Look at that rose. It's just beautiful. But yet life is like that too. You have thorns in your life like you do on a rose, but you don't focus on those thorns. You focus on that beautiful blossom on the top of the rose. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm going to be 72 here next month, and it's like, yes, I'm that blossom on top of this rose. Yeah, I've got thorns in my life for sure. But I'm that rose.
Well. You don't try to open the rose before it's time either, because you'll kill the flower.
Right.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yep.
You're true. This is true.
Yeah, some of the things you just taught us without. I love too that your husband had the wisdom enough to be able to say to you, well, I didn't. It's not that he said he didn't get you the roses but to let you know why. Like, it's not just because, well, we don't have any money and so I'm going to get you this because this is what we need. No, he said, you are so proud of your clean barn, and I want to help you with that so that you don't have to jab your stomach anymore. There's wisdom in that, though, because I feel like sometimes we look back to these expectations. I'm going to be thinking about this for a while, because he helped you process why that was going to be okay. And, actually, I really appreciate that because he saw you. Like, it's such a beautiful thing. I keep wiping around the tears while you're talking because it's, I don't know, it's just unheard of these days. But you actually, this was recent.
It is. I wish there was more of that. Like when he gave me that cup full of the little flowers, and then his theory was that, well, you can have a coffee cup out of that. Years and years later, if you don't break it, of course. But that's how he always was, and that's how he grew up. His parents also farmed, except his mom worked off of the farm, and my parents worked as a team, and that's how I always wanted Jerry and I to be too, to be a team. And then you have to, and this happens to couples too, that one of them might be taken away by the Lord, and then you have to learn how to pick yourself up and get around that mountain that got plopped in front of you, instead of saying, oh my God, I can't go on because this mountain is sitting in front of me and my life is done. No, you have to figure out how to get around that mountain because the sun is shining on that other side, and there's love on the other side. And my kids help me do this. My friends help me. You got to keep walking forward. And there's some days it's like, oh man, I went 10 steps backwards, but no, you got to keep going forward. Life in general, whether you've got a sickness or you lose your job or whatever, you have to always be going forward because you're not getting anywhere if you go backwards.
Right.
You're just covering you're covering the area that you've been on if you keep going backwards. And some days that's easier said than done. Definitely easier said than done.
One of the reasons why I love your book too, because you've left all these stories. It's great for you to tell them, but then people forget because it's not their life. But you've written all this, and I was laughing through some of it. There's some of it where I'm just like, I had no idea that was a thing. Just this, we talk about it. There's some words in there that I was like, oh, that makes sense, but I didn't know what that was. But we just connecting with stories. We talk about it in advertising and marketing and stuff, but it's because we crave that connection. And I absolutely felt more connected to you, and to these stories. Thanks. True. So I just love that, like, generations to come, your family will always have like what it was like on your great grandfather's farm or something, or grandmother's parents, blah. So that said, how do we get a hold of your book?
Okay. I have not got the big marketing system down pat yet, because I still want to be in the driver's seat. I still want to be in control. So what the people do, that they will contact me either through Facebook or through Messenger, or probably the easiest way is to just send me an email. And in fact, I sent out 16 books today out to Tacoma, Washington, because there's a place out there that wanted to sell them. So I'm still simplified on this. So my email address is very simple, of course, countrychatter@hotmail.com.
Perfect.
Very simple.
Wonderful.
Or if someone would like to call me, of course, I get telemarketers or someone trying to tell me that there's fraud on my credit or whatever, and I usually listen to part of the speech and then I delete. But I do answer my phone all the time, and I would love it if people would like a book, to call me. And there again, that area code is 608-604-2711.
Great. Well,
but the email address probably would work better too.
I just encourage everybody to pick up this book, because you'll learn a few things. You'll get connected with your food and some of the stories of the people that are this farming stuff is 24/7. You never know what's going to go on. Some of your stories talk about that. But thank you so much for sharing what you
pleasure having great stuff.
Yeah, it's not just about the farm.
It's really the best life. I mean, we had organic food as a child, and I had no idea that we did. My mom's chickens, the eggs were organic, because when Dad spread the cow manure on the fields or cleaned out the chicken house, and the chicken manure got scattered on the gardens, it's like, oh my God, we're eating organic food. But it just took me a couple of years ago to finally realize, I grew up organic.
And a live soil and a good gut microbiome.
Yeah. All right. So, pleasure to have had you here today. I want to tell you,
I love being on there.
Just taking off right now. This has been the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We'll see you next week. Get out there, share with friends, learn something new. We'll see you next week. Take care.
All right, thank you.
Peace and love.
Thank you for joining us on the Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We are a globally hosted show dedicated to sharing holistic lifestyle events, practitioners, products and services, and useful information. Visit our website, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Once again, createyourholisticlifestyle.com. Of course, our Facebook page is Create Your Holistic Lifestyle Show. We'll see you next week.
Namaste.